There is not even a drop of water on Mars. Let's make a hypothesis. If there was an ocean there, if we were on a boat, how would we find our way? We couldn't, because our compass would not work. A compass works with the Earth's magnetic field. Mars and other planets don't have a magnetic field or magnetosphere like on Earth. Therefore, it is not possible to find direction. The compass was invented in the 11th century. Since then, ships have navigated with a compass. Nowadays, there are GPS devices with satellite connection, but ships still use the compass as a backup. Can you find an address in an unfamiliar city without navigation? You can't. There is no compass in the human body, but many creatures have a compass or navigation system built into their bodies. Some other creatures have this equipment, but humans do not, or it has not yet been discovered. Sea turtles. They hatch in the dark. Not to the left or to the right or back. They head out to sea. And the journey takes more than 10 years for some species of sea turtle. But they can return to the beach where they were born. They return and lay eggs. Migratory birds travel thousands of kilometers in their lifetime, crossing continents. Penguins, whales, bees, sharks all find their way thanks to the magnetosphere. Pigeons can travel 1,000 kilometers a day. They go and come back without straying. Pigeons carried mail for centuries until the invention of the telegraph. They spied and carried information during the wars. After World War II, 32 pigeons were even awarded medals. But scientists still haven't fully understood this mysterious navigation system in pigeons' bodies.
One of the greatest mysteries in sensory biology is how animals are able to sense the Earth's magnetic field and to use it to navigate.
This is described in a long article in the famous science journal Natura. More than 30 scientists have contributed to this research. They analyze how a compass implanted in the brain and eyes of a bird works. This bird is a European robin. Special proteins have been discovered in the eyes of these birds that allow them to sense the Earth's magnetic field. A protein called cryptochrome. In the part of the European robin's eye sensitive to blue light. These birds also have a biological clock in their brains. The cryptochrome protein works in conjunction with the rhythms of this clock. When photons of light enter the eye, they stimulate this protein. This stimulation creates quantum entanglement between the electrons of the protein. What is quantum entanglement? If two photons or two electrons are ejected from a source, when you affect one of these two electrons or photons, the other one is affected at the same time, no matter how far away it is. When you change the direction of one, the other also changes its direction. More precisely, when you measure, you find the direction to be different. The distance does not matter. Let's say two photons are emitted from a light source at CERN. One photon from the same source traveled half a meter away and the other went to the star Vega 25 light years away. When you observe one of these two electrons or photons, when you act on it, the other one interacts at the same time no matter how far away it is. Einstein accepted this phenomenon but found it hard to believe. Spuck hefty fen Weichen in German, a chilling effect at a long distance. The 2022 Nobel Prize in Physics was awarded to these three scientists who proved this phenomenon with the Bell experiment. So how does quantum entanglement work in the bird's eye?
When a photon enters the robin's eye, it creates what's called an entangled pair of electrons. Here's how it works. Each electron has two possible states. For simplicity, I'm choosing to call them red and green. Now, here's the weird thing. Until I measure it,
the electrons are mysteriously linked. It's as if the first electron is telling the second one what to do.
the electrons seem to know that they should both have the same color, no matter how far apart they are.
Quantum entanglement alerts the bird along the Earth's magnetic field lines, and it prevents the bird from veering off course. Chemical signals sent to the bird's brain alert the magnetic field to deviations of 5 degrees. It prevents it from losing its course.
Near the equator, they may be more likely to be red-red, but near the pole, they may be more likely to be red-green.
I think, having studied quantum mechanics myself years and years ago, I would never have realized then, or even believed, I think, that it would be possible that quantum mechanical effects could be actually housed within the eye of a bird. That is a huge surprise, and that's nothing we learned in quantum mechanics when I was young.
This is how some migratory birds navigate. There is a different theory about some other migratory birds. An experiment was done with pigeons. Pigeons are placed in a wooden box with a feeder at each end. Coils are placed outside the box to create magnetism. The pigeons are trained to go to one end of the box when the coils are running. But when magnets are attached to their beaks or their upper beaks are anesthetized, they lose their ability to navigate. Pigeons have tiny magnetite particles in their bodies that act as magnetic receptors. These receptors sense the Earth's magnetic field and help them navigate. Bats emit high-frequency sound waves. We can't hear them. These waves hit objects in the environment and are reflected back. That's how they sense their surroundings and fly without crashing. But sight is not enough to travel long distances accurately. A magnetic field is also necessary. Princeton University has experimented with this. Dr. Richard Holland discovered that bats also use the Earth's magnetic field to navigate. Very short, harmless magnetic beams were sent into the bat's brain to disrupt its compass. This reverses the magnetic polarity in the brain. Then they took the bat to a point 30 kilometers away and released it. The bat went in the wrong direction. It lost its sense of direction for 2 to 3 hours. By sending sound waves and receiving them back, it traveled without hitting anything. But it lost the magnetic field and couldn't find its way back to its nest. It took 3 to 4 hours for his body to return to normal. Then he started to perceive the polarity correctly and found his way back to his nest. How do these birds take advantage of the Earth's magnetic field? How did a bird manage to incorporate quantum entanglement, which Einstein struggled to understand and solve, into its own body? Dutch scientists have produced the rowbird by likening it to the robin. Rowbirds are used to keep birds away from airports. With its hawk-like appearance, it drives flocks of birds away from the runways. Of course, there is no quantum in the rowbird. The magnetics are a simple copy. Tiny motors move the wings. It flaps, it glides. A specially trained pilot controls it. Let's simply compare the robin to the rowbird. The rowbird can flap its wings 2 times a second. Robin flaps its wings 15 times a second. The rowbird has a range of 2 kilometers. Any further and it gets out of control. As a migratory bird, robin can fly all over Europe and return home. It can travel 300 kilometers a day. Rowbird. It can fly for 15 minutes when its battery is fully charged. Robin can fly hours after eating a few blueberries or worms. Rowbird weighs 750 grams. Robin weighs only 22 grams, 1 in 34. Robird, developed over a 15-year period by dozens of engineers. Robin is created 14 days from an egg weighing only 2 grams. Robird requires a production workshop, factory and remote control device, and computer control and software and a pilot. Robin's software, computer, and pilot are all included. There is also a quantum compass whose technology is still not completely solved. What's in 22 grams that Robird doesn't have? Feathers with different features and colors. Many different types of skin tissue. 20 different types of muscles. 22 different types of bones. Nose, lungs, respiratory system, air sacs, stomach, liver, gallbladder, large intestine, pancreas, small intestine. Robin's small intestine is about 1 millimeter in diameter. The heart, the circulatory system. How big is his heart, the engine that allows him to travel these long distances? Less than 1 gram. Incredibly small but unimaginably powerful. Female reproductive organs, kidneys, male reproductive organs. The immune system. Eyes, brain, spinal cord. The pilot, the computer, the software. And on top of all this, a protein called cryptochrome discovered in Robin's eyes. A tiny and unique work of art. We can't go more than 3 blocks without navigation. Migratory birds and some fish utilize quantum entanglement and magnetosphere lines mounted on their bodies. It travels for months, sometimes years, in the sky or in the darkness of the sea. Then it returns comfortably to the point where it was born. Let me end with the chemist and nanoscientist James Tour. Only a rookie who knows nothing about science would say science takes away from faith. If you really study science, it will bring you closer to God.